Good afternoon and good evening, everyone, to today's session. Let's see. So the session of today, of course, is learn hands-on what effective static application security testing looks like, or SAST. So our agenda for today is we are going to look at, what is effective SAST? How do you introduce that to an organization, and what is SAST? What are you going to do in the course and the hands-on lab for this subject? And then we have some more time for a wrap-up and for some questions and some answers. So DevSecOps Academy, for the new people joining in or people that are not yet aware about DevSecOps Academy. So our aim is to get you hands-on in secure DevOps as effectively and fast as possible. We have worldwide experts involved in creating courses. So together with the security community worldwide, we create courses and they contribute to courses. So it's not only us who are creating the courses, but people all over the world contribute and create courses in their specialized security areas. We have courses that fit busy agendas because we know how busy everyone is. And we make sure that we make the courses short, but to the point, and the hands-on lab not too long, so that they can fit in your agenda, but that you still, learn a specific subject or a specific topic, but then have it in bite-sized modules. So we don't try to offer big courses at once, but we try to make it very specific and very to the point. Of course, today we have the kickoff and getting access to the course and the lab for the SAST CI integration for PHP. And at 31st of August, again at 4 o'clock, we have the wrap-up session, where we would value a lot, if you join that session, where you can give some feedback around how did you like the course, what did you think about the platform? And also what did you like about, for example, the tool that's being used in the hands-on lab? We have the guys from YAGAAN today also with us, of course. And if you join that wrap-up session, you will get access to a freemium version of the tool. So make sure you join that session on the 31st of August, and you will get more information at that meeting. When you successfully complete the course and the hands-on lab, you will be awarded with a practitioner certificate. So the certificate will mention clearly, what you did, at what date, and what level you did the hands-on lab. And it will also mention the signature of the lab owner and the lab creators from YAGAAN. So your feedback is very important to us, especially because we are a startup and we are still in the early phases of creating this platform. So we really value your feedback. So at the end of the hands-on lab, you will also find a survey, a link to a survey that you can fill in and provide your feedback to us. And that will be greatly appreciated, because in that way, we can improve the course and the platform. Currently, we have two types of support available. So we have TDO integration. So in the platform, you're able to chat with our support bot. And if there are some more complex things, then our support department is also there available for you. But be aware, however, that this is only between 9 and 5 CET on weekdays. So not on the weekends yet. So who are we? So my name is Dominik Smit. I'm the CEO of DevSecOps Academy and Arido. And my background is in software engineering and cybersecurity. I've helped a large number of organizations in different sectors with their security programs and with their security awareness, both on a technical level like DevSecOps, so secure DevOps, as well as more on the people side. And currently I'm building out the next generation DevSecOps hands-on skill building platform together with the rest of the DevSecOps Academy team. And today we also have the YAGAAN guys with us.
Okay, thank you, Dominik. My name is Hervé Goff. I'm the co-founder and CEO of YAGAAN. And Antoine is also a co-founder of the company, and he's a CTO. Antoine has a PhD in compiling and operational research. He has worked on many years in a company dedicated at software evaluation and source code evaluation. And he had the idea of a new technology to overcome the limitations of SAST tools that he was using quite daily. On my side, I've been working as an engineer in the French Ministry of the Armies, in a branch which is in charge of procurement, and I've been working in function systems, etc., and technology. And we set up and built a YAGAAN company that was established in 2017. So we are a startup. Our product is a high-tech product. And let's go now to the point of application security. Next.
Thanks. Thanks, guys.
There is a figure that a lot of people don't have in mind when it deals with cyber attack. You know that last year was a tremendous increase in cyber attacks because of the pandemics, and a lot of cyber attacks were driven against different targets, including hospitals and healthcare systems. And 42% of cyber attacks in 2020 succeeded because of exploitation of software vulnerabilities. That's a very huge number, and that reflects the state of the art of application security, which is quite low at the moment. Those cyber attacks and those security flaws in software resulted in this dissemination of ransomwares to companies, hospitals. They also drove to major private data leaks and unauthorized access to IT assets, etc. So you can see that software security is a very big matter, actually, and particularly since last year. Next. So the first step to secure applications, of course, is to secure application at the source code level when you are writing the code and when you are building the code. So we are focusing at YAGAAN in the SAST focus, so the static application security testing, and our raw material is source code. And we put it in line with the output or the environment where applications are used. The environment, of course, is composed of end users, but within these end users, there is a new category of users that you need to keep in mind, which are hostiles, which are people which will try to find bugs, which will try to find vulnerabilities, and when they find something, they will eventually use them for their own purposes, or they might also sell them on the darknet to build new attacking tools. So security, application security must be taken very serious in order to avoid these hostile people to succeed.
Hello.
Next one.
Hello.
Yeah, and just to point out, we tried to create a taxonomy around DevSecOps, and then you guys said, okay, no, this static, so the SAST should be in a different position. Can you maybe tell a little more about that, Hervé?
Yeah, sure. We did it. We asked it to be in front of the coding phase of the process, because application security testing and static application security testing can be used from the very first line of code, and it's not necessary that the application is buildable to use the SAST tool. So it's important to us to highlight that static application security testing can be used from the very beginning of the project, and it's not necessary to wait until the project is buildable. Yeah. So that's why I asked to switch to 2 steps in the drawing.
Yeah, great. Okay, sorry for the interruption. Let's go to the next one.
Yeah. So why do we need SAST? First thing is to detect vulnerabilities, of course. And SAST, static application security testing, is the only way to check for vulnerabilities while the application is not yet releasable. So that's very important to keep in mind, that it's the first tool that you can use to equip security by design approaches and privacy by design approaches. The second point is that it allows you to check that secure coding good practices are applied within the project, and you can make sure that those coding good practice are used, and you can check that they are correctly implemented in the development. And the last one, which is quite important to keep in mind too, when a small bug in some part of the code can produce very serious vulnerability at the other end. We'll just take one example. You maybe have heard about a cyber attack against the Düsseldorf's hospital in September last year, which was victim of ransomware. And the ransomware was exploiting a flow in VPN Citrix, and which was a remote command execution flow. But the remote command execution flow was generated because of a path traversal flow. So you can see that a very little bug in some parts of the code can produce serious effects at the end. The second pillar of static application security testing is that it can automate and save resources. We all know that in the projects and development projects, resources are scarce, and its use is important to avoid wasting the time of people or developers and security experts. And SAST is also a way to automate the testing, because applications are growing in complexity and volume. So if you want to process and make the analysis manually, you can do it, but it will be time consuming, and with big applications, it will be almost impossible. So application automation is a very important step to implement this approach. And also, comprehensive analysis of the source code is only achievable with automation, because there is a combinatory which is very important. And when you need to check every single line of code and its effect on the rest of the application, you need to have automated and comprehensive analysis. And those tools will also get your attention on the warnings. And every time a suspicious area is detected in code, you will be warned to say, be careful, there is a problem at in that part of the code. And they will provide you some explanatory information to help you understand what's happening and focus your efforts. You can see on the bottom of the slide that you have different references that exist. The OWASP top 10, for instance, is well-known. PCI DSS is also well-known, and the SAST top 25 is also a good reference. And the SAST tool will allow you to understand how far you are complying with the reference, and that's something which is also important to keep in mind, to be compliant with those references. Next. And
Hervé, for the people who maybe don't know PCI DSS, what is that used for? What is that?
PCI DSS is used for banking systems mainly.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Okay.
So, for those of you who are curious about how does work a SAST tool, here are the main steps. I won't spend too much time explaining, but if you have questions, Antoine will be happy to answer them. The first part of static analysis is to index the code and to build a model of the code so that we can work on this model. The second step will be to scan the model and to scan the source code for vulnerabilities, thanks to the knowledge of the data flows, the call graph, and different properties that we find in the code. And this step will give you vulnerability detection and will raise warnings so that you can get knowledge of which part of code are suspicious. And then you will get a warning that the end user visible part of the SAST. And you will get information about the location where there is a problem in the code. And also, according to the tools, you will get a certain level of information taking or decision-making information. Next. Okay, so what are the benefits? There will be benefits for the development teams, of course, but also for customers. For development teams, you will be able to make sure that secure coding best practices are applied in the development process, and to identify which one have not been implemented and fix the problems. And also, you will be able to focus your efforts and your workload on the development of new functionalities rather than focusing on bug fixing, because as soon as you, the sooner you find vulnerabilities, the better you will fix them, and the cheaper it will be in time and expenses to fix it. And then your development team will be able to focus itself on developing new functionalities rather than building security patches. And also, as you are in a security by design approach, you will avoid to generate unnecessary workload for patch release, because you will have identified the problems during the development lifecycle and not after the application is deployed to the users. For the users, the customers of your application, you will, of course, avoid to put them at risk with disseminating vulnerabilities in applications. And of course, as I explained a bit earlier, there are hostile people in the users and hostile people on the other side of application. And if they succeed in exploiting a vulnerability, you will expose your customers to cyber attacks and very impacting effects. And additionally, with releasing applications with less vulnerabilities, you will also save or increase your reputation, which is a very important point nowadays. Next. Okay, so what are our beliefs at YAGAAN? The challenges that we wanted to tackle is to fight against erroneous warnings, because one of the main drawbacks of SAST is to generate a lot of information to the user and overwhelm the user with warnings and information. And this information is not processed enough, so that's something we wanted to fight against when we set up the company. And of course, that is also linked to stop wasting the time of developers, because you, as developers, you prefer to spend your time building and developing new functionalities rather than doing bug fixing. And one major aspect that we wanted to take into account also is to better assist developers and security champions, providing users with better information, with, of course, warnings to warn them when there is a problem, but also provide them with more information at decision-making level for you to be able to focus quicker and sooner on the effective problem or the really problems that matter. So we wanted to avoid people to spend time on false positives or duplicate warnings, and help them focus on the vulnerabilities that are the most critical to their environment. Next. So the most important visibility that you will see as an end user when using the YAG suite, which is our tool, is that you will get warnings. For instance, you will have a warning about a sensitive data exposure. But you will also benefit from automated qualification of the warning, which means that you will have different information for you to understand what is happening. The first one will be a relevancy score, which means that every single warning will be allocated a score of relevancy, which represents how probably or how likely it is that the warning is a true positive or false positive. That will help you to check and discard some irrelevant warnings. The second score you will get is a criticality score, which is named a CVSS score, which will give you an idea of how critical is the vulnerability in case it would be exploited by a hostile. And the consequence is how urgent or what is the emergency to fix the problem or not. And with those two scores, you will be able to hierarchize the warnings and focus on the warnings which are the most likely to be true positives and which are highly critical. But we won't stop there, and we also will provide you with remediation information to help you understand how you could fix the problem in an efficient way. Next one. Then the workflow and what you can do with it is that we will provide, the tool is providing educational diagnostics. We know that a lot of people and a lot of developers have not been trained at school about security, and that they want to improve their skills and they want to improve the level of security of the code they are developing. So diagnostics and educational diagnostics is important. And the window you see in the middle of the screen is one sample of diagnostics, which will give you, for instance, for SQL injection warning, we will tell you that it's caused because there is a SQL query which applies to untrusted data. And then we will provide you tools and functionalities to explore the code and understand what's happening. Where do you get sensitive information or data which is not trusted, and how it is used and how it is processed in the application before it's used with the SQL query. And when you have understood what's happening, when you have investigated a bit more what's happening, you will benefit from a remediation support, which is a window on the right part of the screen, which will extract from your application some examples of code which is properly written and which is properly sanitized, for instance, in the case of SQL injection. And then for the most advanced users, for the most advanced users, you will benefit from prioritization of warnings, and also you will be able to customize the tool and write your own rules or your own detection rules, or to customize the tool to your environment. Especially for sensitive data, you can include new sensitive data and benefit from the power of detecting sensitive data flows, for instance, in the application. Next. So the use case you will have on this hands-on lab will be only using one part of the tool, which will be benefiting of the SaaS version of the scan engine, and using the dashboard, which will show you a part of information. So the tool itself as a whole is also used to be, of course, integrated in CI/CD pipelines. And you will also benefit from a plugin for some IDEs. And also for auditors and experts, you will benefit from the Audit Center, which is the advanced tools to make deep investigations as a source code. But this lab, this is the first lab that we contributed to with DevSecOps Academy, will focus on integration of the solution in a CI/CD pipe and detecting some vulnerabilities in PHP applications. And then I hand over the floor to Dominik.
Thank you, Hervé. So before we head onto the platform to show you some things, are there maybe any questions for now? You can either put them in the chat, or we would love to hear your question around SAST. And maybe I can start off with the first question, Hervé. So what would you say is currently, let's say, the most difficult for companies to integrate SAST with for their developers? What is the most difficult challenge?
The challenge will not be a technical challenge, I guess, because integrating the tool in a CI/CD pipeline is quite easy. The main challenge will be to set up a process so that the good practice are explained and understood within the development team, and then that the process integrates code reviews quite often to make sure that the security aspect is integrated in the SDLC. So the main challenge is not a technical one. It's not about integrating a tool in a CI/CD pipeline or using a tool as standalone product, but it's to set up a process and involve the developers in the process so that they can use and benefit from such tools.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, and I think that one of the important things is, of course, that the development community understands what's happening and what's going on and why it's implemented in that way. Okay. Are there maybe any other questions from the participants in the Zoom meeting? You can either ask them via the chat or feel free to ask a question. Now is your chance. And otherwise, we will.
Yeah, maybe if there is no question, I will add some interesting points on the most exploited vulnerabilities in 2020. There was the figures I showed you in the first slide when I started to talk was a high-level view. It's interesting to see that in most of the cases, the really impacting flows that was exploited by hostiles could have been detected with static analysis. That's a point which is very important to keep in mind, is that those cyber attacks which are happening since a while, most of them could have been avoided using SAST.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And I see, Hervé, that we have one question from the audience. And Shubha, sorry, asked the question: what is the best approach to reduce false positives?
I would say the first question is to use our tool. But it was a business minute. That's why we created the company. To be honest, because we integrated some innovation in our product based on machine learning to fight against false positives. And the problem of false positive is not a simple one, because there is not in the absolute or universal way of considering that warning is a false positive or a true positive, because a false positive or true positive is depends on the context of the application. In a context, one application could generate a false positive, but the same application used for a different context could lead to a false positive or true positives. And that's something that we integrate in our technology, which is in some details, technical details. We also use contextual analysis of the application and the source code to give the score, the relevancy score, which is a score which measure how likely is the warning to be a true positive or a false positive.
Okay. Yeah. So using multiple technologies basically to. Okay. Very good. So if there are no further questions anymore from the audience, then we can continue. There will be, of course, some more time at the end for some questions. But let's continue now over to the platform. So let me stop sharing this and share my browser. Yes. So so when you get access after this session to the course, you will be able to do the course and the hands-on labs. So if we have a look at where is my so the SAST CI course is the course that we are currently talking about. If you enter the course information page, you will find 30 seconds video around what you will actually be doing in the course. There will be some more information, and also, of course, who created the course. And you can see it's Antoine, the CTO of YAGAAN. And once you have read this and you said, okay, I'm going to go for this course, then you will see that there are two parts to the course. So one part on the left is called the preparation lab. And basically you have unlimited time, to go through that. And that's basically there to prepare you for the hands-on lab. So when I start with the preparation lab, you will see that we will talk there about SAST. What is SAST actually? And it will also dive you and give you some more resources and links to learn more about SAST. And at the end of the preparation lab, you are given two options. You get two options. Either you can take a quiz, and when you take a quiz, you can earn a badge, or you can directly go onto the hands-on lab. And as you can see in the hands-on lab, I already started it, but you're able to start the hands-on lab, and then you will see the following screen. So you see here that in this hands-on lab, there will be a few resources that you can use. So first of all, you will get a GitLab instance. So whenever I press on launch, it will launch the GitLab instance and I can log in and access the project. And it will have the credentials to access the YAGAAN tool. So in the hands-on lab, there will be several assignments that you will need to do in order to complete it successfully. And as you can see on the top right corner, you can see a timer running. So be aware that this hands-on lab has a time limit of 3 hours maximum. So that doesn't mean that you need 3 hours, but usually between 1 and 3 hours is what we see that people need to complete this hands-on lab. So make sure that once you start with the hands-on lab, that you don't go grocery shopping or to the shopping mall, because when you come back, then the time will have run out and your lab will be destroyed. Another thing that is in place is our automated checking system. So as you can see here, you will get green check marks whenever the system thinks, okay, you have done a good job or you are on the right path. In some cases, it might say, that you're not on the right path. Be aware that this is just a guidance system. So in the end, if you think you have done everything correctly, there is a, you have to press on the last button of the lab, and that's basically the check results button. And whenever you press the check results button, you can only do that once. Then your lab will be offered for review. And if everything goes according to plan to the automated checker, you will have your certificate right away. And if something is off or the checker didn't completely get it, then there will be a manual review. So make sure to always submit your lab for review. And as I mentioned in the presentation, there will be also a link to the survey. That will be great if you can help us by filling that in so that we can improve the course and the platform. So that's a little bit how the hands-on lab looks like. So let's go quickly back to the presentation. So share the presentation again. So back to the presentation. So as I've just seen, I've shown in the platform, this is the screen you will be seeing. So you will have access to different kind of hands-on resources, and you will have certain assignments that you can do in a hands-on lab. So what is the use case for this course? So like Hervé from YAGAAN already explained, is in this course, we're going to look at that you automate your SAST, right? So your SAST scanning, you're going to automate this in the CI/CD pipeline within GitLab. So to make sure that the process of automatically checking for security issues is automated, and then whenever a developer does a commit or however you want it, that this this process gets kicked off automated. So as less manual effort as possible, and that's what we want. And you will also have different options in the YAGAAN suite yourself, that you can see that on the bottom of this presentation. And of course, you will have more access and you will see more what's possible when you actually do the course. But then you will also have many different options, like Hervé also explained, where the tool will actually explain you what the issue is and how to fix it. So the exercises that you will be doing in short in the hands-on lab is, like I said, you will be integrating the tool in a CI/CD pipeline. You will scan the vulnerable application. So we have put a vulnerable application for you that contains several vulnerabilities that you will need to fix. And together with the tool, it will notify you, okay, this is the vulnerability and this should be fixed. And then basically, once you have fixed the issue, you will rerun the pipeline to make sure that all of the issues are fixed. So those are really fun exercises to do. And there you really get to understand, how does SAST scanning work and what can you do with the results? How can you interpret the results? So then after the hands-on lab, what then? So Hervé, can you maybe explain a little bit more what we maybe will be talking also, and not maybe actually, but we'll offer the participants when they join the wrap-up session?
Yeah, sure. For those of you who applied and registered to the hands-on course, congratulations, you did a good choice. But what after the lab? What we will propose you is that we would be very happy that you go on and keep on discovering the YAG suite. As I mentioned, we are a startup. We are very keen on getting feedback from users, and we are very keen on getting suggestions on what we could do better eventually, or which functionalities you would miss and you would like to see in this product. So after the hands-on lab, you will be granted a first-hand access to the YAG Suite Freemium. For the time being, we have only a commercial version of the product, and we are thinking about releasing a freemium version to the public. And this freemium version is actually at the end of beta testing, and we will release it for usage on your site as a first-hand access for those who will attend the wrap-up meeting. And also, it will include an access to our Discord community. That's also something new we have set up recently to facilitate discussions and exchange between our community of users. And that will be also part of the package that you can get away with at the end of the hands-on lab.
Sounds very interesting, Hervé, and I think a great incentive for people to join us in the wrap-up session to learn more about your freemium offer.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we are already at the end of this webinar. It's time now also to answer some more of your questions. So Hervé, I've already seen a question from the audience where Atul asked, do you see any possibility to integrate SAST tools with risk management tools?
Oh, that's an excellent question. Thank you for asking it. Risk management approaches are something which are quite well developed in infrastructure management and infrastructure security. On the application security is for the time being quite limited in use, and risk management is something which needs inputs from. And the way we design the tool and the way we think about the tool should develop and evolve to is to go to risk management, because we are not willing to do cybersecurity for doing cybersecurity. We want to tool cybersecurity to support protecting assets and information and sensitive information. So we see SAST as a good technology to feed risk management processes, to provide inputs and to provide information or decision-making information to risk managers based on what is present in the source code. And that's one of the way we will develop the product, to go higher in the business approach of the tool, and also not to stick on on a technical view only. So in the YAG suite, there are still some features which are dedicated at feeding or taking into account risk management approaches, like functional description of the application, or some requirements capture that we can capture in the tool, and support the way to analyze whether those requirements are met or not by the development.
Yeah, and is it then also something on, let's say, that's important for YAGAAN to collaborate with these other tools, or to create integrations with these other tools, or?
That's something we can think about with partners. We already have developed an API to use the tool and to integrate it into high-level tools or risk management tools or other tools. So that's something which is on the way. We are thinking the future of the YAG suite, yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so any other good questions like this from the audience? Now is the time to ask. And make sure, of course, to register on the Academy to get access to the course, because after this session, everyone who registered will be given access to do the course. So make sure that if you only registered on LinkedIn, to also register on the platform. So let me check the chat. I don't see any more questions in the chat. So I would like to also thank YAGAAN for being here with us, for explaining a little bit more around SAST and the use cases. I hope to see everyone back at the wrap-up session, and have a lot of fun with the course. And we are really looking forward to seeing what you think about it, and if there are any improvements, or if you really like to do it, and how you experience the hands-on learning. And I've just seen the message that everyone should have been assigned right now. So if you have any questions, or if there are any problems, be sure to notify our support department via the chat option in the platform. And otherwise, I wish you a great rest of your week, and good luck and have fun. Thank you.
Thank you all.